all I want to do is figure out how to adjust my headlights. Welcome back, my friends. It's Scott Schiller for Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts and Team G503 here on YouTube. Got up my TM9. I've been looking at the front end of that Jeep now for a while. We've been doing the wiring series. This has kind of got something to do with the wiring series, but I kept looking at those headlamps there in that grill, and they're all crooked and cockeyed. And I drove it around the cul-de-sac a while back there. It was foggy and kind of misty outside on it. It was a Christmas time back here in Charleston, South Carolina. I had fog out there, and I could see the beams were like shooting every which way. If you want to see that video, you can go back. It's kind of funny. You see that? Anyways, so I decided to make a video on how to adjust the headlamps. It's not that hard to do. We're just following the instruction here in the TM9. Shows you a little grid that you need to put on the wall there and back up your Jeep. Let's dive in and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take a look here at the 1943 Willys MB, and you can clearly see that the headlamp buckets are all crooked and twisted, especially the driver's side. I'm going to be using the diagram right out of the TM9, and it gives you all the measurements that you should follow and where you should focus your beams. The driveway is pretty much level with the inside of the garage with the exception of an inch that drops. So I've marked a 25-foot line on the driveway to the wall that I'm going to measure with the lights. All right, we got it running, and I cheated a little bit. I took a board and I put it on my chalk line. Wait, messing the camera up. Anyway, that's right in the line. You can see I've got both of those tires dead on. It took some doing, and it's also square to this spot that I'm shooting to in the garage. And you can see that those lights are really messed up. So then we're going to take a tape measure from the floor, and we're going to measure to the center of the opening. I'm not going to measure to the center of the bulb because I know it's crooked, and it looks like it's right at 36 inches. Right here is the center line on the hood, or the center of the vehicle. So I'm going to eyeball that there, and that looks like about 15¼ inches. And check it from the other side. That's about 15¼ inches too to the opening. I'm not going by the bulb. Okay, so I'm on my test wall here, and I'm going to measure up the 36 inches from the floor, like this, and I'm going to make a mark at 36, and this is the only time you will ever see me use a level and blue tape in a Jeep video together. So this is kind of like a historic moment. All right, so the blue tape is on the wall there, and I've got about 6 feet on the wall, and that top of the tape is at the 36 inches. Now we're going to have to measure down 7 inches and make another line, so I'll do that next, and then we'll find the center line as they say in the manual. So if you look here on the bottom of this blue tape, this was my 36-inch mark, which is the height of the center of the headlight. Now, if we drop down here to this line, that is going to be the 7 inches, the 7-inch target zone that we're looking to shoot the beam in at its brightest intensity. Just so I don't make a mistake by accident, I'm going to make a mark here, because again, that was the original top line. That's the top center, 36 inches. And then this bottom here, from there, from this line, will be our 7 inches. The 7-inch zone, we'll call that. We're going to want the beam to be between this line and this bottom line. But first, we have to find that center line. It's kind of interesting in the manual how they say to do it. And I've got an idea myself how I'm going to try to find it also, but they say just to look down the hood and between the windshield and shoot that towards the wall and you can find a center line. It's a little dark out right now, but what they say is to look down from the windshield through your centerpiece here in the windshield, and you see that little joint there on your hood. So you're going to line that up on the wall, and what it looks like is that's going to fall somewhere right there, probably on the G503.com on the wall, right about where between the 0 and 3. I've got a little bit better method to test this, but just for sake's argument, now we're looking again, we're lining that up so that disappears kind of right in the middle, and it's going to shoot the wall there to kind of get a center line. I'm going to get a laser. Okay, so I'm cheating. I've got a laser here, and the camera might not pick it up, but the laser is lined up right on the top of this crease here in the hood, and it's shooting towards the wall. And if you look really close there in the garage, you'll see I wasn't that far off in my guesstimate. It's a little bit to the right of what I thought. I thought it was there at the O with the G503.com. It's more towards the M, but that is perfect for the laser shooting right through that line in the hood. Let's see if I can't get a cool shot at laser beam right there. There it is, lined up perfectly with that crease in the hood. Okay, so now from the laser mark, right there is where I marked it. I did a level line and put another piece of tape, so I'm gonna mark that with my marker that is a center line so I don't get confused where the tape's gonna be. Then we're gonna measure off the sides there and do our distances from the center of the grill to the center of the lights. So I've taped these off both on the wall, 15 1/8, 15 1/4, just like I measured, from the center line. Now I did both of them towards the inside, so I know that those are the center lines. We're gonna try to focus the beam right here in this area, on both these areas of this tape. That's where our bright spot's gonna be when we do the actual adjustment. So I've turned the lights on for the initial time, and you can see that my lights are way off, and I knew they were just from the get-go. So now we're gonna try to get those up into between those blue tape areas, top and bottom there, and on the center lines. When we do, then we can tighten down the nut and they'll be adjusted. I'm gonna go ahead and cover up one of the lights. This will be the driver's side light, and then I'm gonna adjust the passenger side. Now I've shut the lights off in the garage, and you can see I've got that bright beam hitting right there. Well, it's kind of way below the lower part of the blue tape there. So we're gonna adjust that up and then into that area where the tape is. You can see I'm pivoting this around a little bit, and we're looking for the brightest spot to be right there on that line and right there between that 36-inch mark and that 7-inch mark, which I believe is right about there. I know it's hard to tell with the garage and lights on, but right there looks to be right about right. So I'm gonna hold it there, and I'm gonna tighten that nut on top of the mounting bracket. Next, I'm going to cover up the light that I just adjusted. We're going to do one at a time here. I'm just using a heavy rag. You can use a piece of cardboard. That takes away all the light. Now, if you see, my driver's side light is really, really off. It's hitting the floor down there. I made a video where I was driving around back in the winter time, and you could definitely see in the fog that it was shooting towards the ground. So we're going to go on the other side, and this time I'll show you how I'm manipulating this and tightening the nut at the top. First, let's try to get this beam. It's got to come way up. There's our center line. That's the brightest spot, right about there. Now you've got some overspill on there, but you can really see if you look. See how the bright spot is? We're going to just eyeball it to in the center there, right about there. That's where that needs to be. Let's do that one more time just so you can see. See the bright spot in the center? Right there. Now I'm going to turn the camera around while I tighten this nut so you can see I adjusted these. I'm doing this in the dark, and I did it on purpose just so I'd get a really good visual on what I was doing here. So you just manipulate this back and forth. You can rotate it up and down, side to side, and you've seen me line this up already, so I'm going to line that up again. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take my 3/4 inch wrench and tighten that nut and hold the bucket at the same time and keep looking at my target there to make sure I don't move it as I tighten this down. Once that's tightened, you're all set to go. It's really that simple. A lot of work to do in the beginning, but it's pretty basic setup, and we'll take a look here at the front and see how they look, and if they look square and they look nice. It's hard to tell from the video, but I can definitely see a difference in the buckets there, how they're oriented inside the grill there. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video that you need to have these in the low beam position when you want to do the setup here for adjusting them. We're going to go ahead now and click the high beams just to see what happens. But those low beams are hitting exactly on that tape on the wall there where they should be. Let me go ahead and click those high beams. Let's see what happens. Got the high beams on now, and they're much brighter. And they jumped up basically to the top of that line there. But we're still looking really good with our pattern and our intensity. Little angle there on the camera. I'm happy how this came out. Hope this helped you out. Stay tuned for more Team G503 videos. Just for posterity and sake's argument, I just pulled the Jeep straight forward back into its position in the garage, and my bright spots are still falling exactly where they need to be on that tape, and I'm about maybe 8 feet away from the wall there now. So that worked out real well. And that is a whole bunch better, as you can see. I really like it. And you can actually visually see in the grill there that everything's in the way it should be now. And they all look nice and square, and they shoot the correct way onto the wall there. I have not taken it out on the road yet. In the evening time, maybe I'll do that this evening just to make sure that everything's okay and I can see. You don't want to be blinding your buddies with those headlamps that are not adjusted correctly. Ask me how I know about that one too. All right, my friends, if you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by hitting that subscribe button down there. Also, click that little bell down there because you will get a notification when we release new videos here at Team G503. Until next time, my friends, keep it safe and keep those headlamps in line.